Hello and welcome once again to another episode of the Kate and Eric Show podcast. I swear, here in the DFW, a little side note here, but it rains every week now. It's every week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it rains every week. I think there was like a slight little warning of a tornado here, and it's like scheduled to rain for the next few days. It has rained every single week. It seems like for the last 4 or 5 years. But hopefully it's nice and sunny and bright and beautiful wherever you are. But welcome to the show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting the show. You can go find my other content along with this on I have to remember all the things now where I'm at now because there's just so many. But Facebook, X, TikTok, Truth Social, and YouTube. And then I did just launch a Kate and Eric Show, or the Kate and Eric Show Instagram page. So there is that as well. So please go check those out. Like, subscribe, follow, share, do all the great things that you do with those, and then you can be informed and have common sense and just see some beautiful little things that I can find all over the internet. And it's there's quite a bit right now, actually. There is quite a bit. Please go on there, and then on iTunes, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to this, please rate 5 stars if you don't mind. I would really appreciate it. And then it helps the algorithm and more people see it. And then it's just beautiful and wonderful. And we can all gather together as a nice conservative community and fight against the wokeism and have a little bit of common sense going on in our country. So, yes, please. And thank you very much. It's much appreciated. So hopefully everybody had a great week. Do a little sports. The Astros have had a great homestand. They did just get beat in their series with the Angels there, 2-1. But for the most part, they have kind of turned things around. And they're only a few games behind first place, the Seattle Mariners, who I think they do play next. If I'm not mistaken, I think they go up there, or they go to Oakland, one of the two, or both. Or maybe I'm mixing them up. But anyway, so yeah, baseball's in full swing. It's beautiful. It's great. I love baseball season. This season has been a little weird because the Astros have had their struggles in the beginning, and kind of have turned things around since going to Mexico and playing the Rockies down there. So it's been kind of fun. And then the NBA, their Western Conference and Eastern Conference finals are happening. My stepson's a big Celtics fan, so the Celtics beat the Pacers last night. I forget what the score was. It was like 500 to 490 or something like that. I don't know. They just score. They don't play defense. So it's a little bit different than when I watched it in the 90s, where it seems like nobody plays defense and they score 5 million points. So that's going on. And then you have the Stanley Cup playoffs that are going on too. So the city of Dallas right now is kind of doing well as far as going to their respective conference finals, because the Stars also are in, I think they're in the West. Maybe they're in the East. I don't know. I'm brand new. I'm a noob to hockey. I have only really been paying attention. I paid attention a little bit last Stanley Cup playoffs. But this year I've actually watched quite a few games. I've watched when they played the ugly teams jerseys, Vegas. They're like, one of their home jerseys is just this awful yellow color. I don't know if it's supposed to be gold because of the Golden Knights, but it is not gold. It looks like throw up or something. I don't know. It's not very good. They did beat them. The Stars beat the Vegas Knights, and then they just beat the Colorado Avalanche in 6 games. They won that series 4-2. So they do play tomorrow, and I believe they play the Oilers, wherever they are from. I do not know. Edmonton Oilers. That sounds about right. So there is that. So that's going on. That'll be happening tomorrow. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I've already started looking, because if you don't know, I'm a big hats. I love hats. I have like a million Astros hats and then a whole bunch of others. So it's kind of a big deal for me to do hats. And I'm looking into some other opportunities, so we'll have some of that going on. But yeah, I've already looked into some Dallas Stars hats, and some of them are okay, some are good. I don't think really hockey hats isn't really a thing. It's not like a baseball hat where there's tons of them. But anyway, that's kind of the world of sports at the moment. WNBA is going on. I don't know why. Caitlin, what's her name, Clark, is in it. I don't know. The last time I saw her team hadn't won a game, so oops. But other sports news, there was the Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker. If you do not know who he is, I didn't really know who he was. I did watch the Super Bowl obviously last year because being a 49er fan, and I hated the outcome. But I didn't know who this guy was. All of a sudden now he's this big, huge, controversial thing going on around the world, or the country anyway, where he is a Catholic. He was invited to a Catholic school in, I believe, Kansas or Missouri, one of the two, since he lives and plays in Kansas City for the Chiefs. So he was invited to speak at this Catholic school to a bunch of Catholics. So I want that to be the context of what's going on, because it seems like the internet sort of forgot that whole premise, and they are freaking out because of some things he said. And if taken out of that context, you can definitely see how that would be sort of, I guess, offensive to what he said. But here is the big thing that he said at the college, because there's been tons of mostly women that I have seen on social media that have really gotten angry about what he has said. So if you have not heard, here it is.
Speak directly to you briefly, because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but
So I want to stop it right there. That first thing he says, some of you will go on to have successful careers, which is absolutely fine. My wife is one of those people who has an immensely successful career. There are many women that I know who have immensely successful careers. But there's the next part here that he says is the kind of part that people are having a little issue with.
Venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
So that's the big issue that people have right there, that he said that most of the women that were there, and he got a standing ovation when he was done, by the way. The people that were there loved what he said. I don't have any problem with what he said. Because, and I mentioned this, I believe, last week when I talked about mothers and Mother's Day, that the most important jobs on the planet are being a parent and taking care and raising the next generation right. I think a lot of the problems that we are facing in the nation is because children grow up and they are not taught correctly. They're taught that everything is about me and everything should just be given, and there's no boundaries, there's no consequences. I mean, the big thing is there's no consequences to any of their actions, and they think the world owes them, and they play victim card all the time. So I would venture to say that what he's trying to say there, I mean, he breaks down and he says, I mean, I will say the same thing, that I am not who I am today without my wife. And he said the same thing, that because of the women in our lives, we can achieve anything. And I think that's the credit that he deserves. And then people have tons of problems with it, because then they're like, well, you're just saying that women are degraded. And no, that's in the context of what he's talking about and who he's talking to. No, it's not. Because children need to be raised. And in today's world, it's a little different. Things are a little different. It's not like where, the man goes to work and the woman stays home and takes care of the kids. That happened in my life. That's what my mom did. And I was grateful for that. But in today's world, that doesn't really seem that's the normal thing to do. Or not normal, that's the wrong word. But just there's different things. You can have the wife go. I think the bottom line is that there's somebody, either the husband or the mother should stay home and take care of it, especially when they're really young. You shouldn't have, and if that's not possible for you, then that's, obviously that you'll have to do what you have to do. But somebody needs to be taking care of your kids. I mean, sending them to school for 6 to 8 hours a day, those people are the ones that are going to be raising your children, not you. Sorry to say. And they're going to get their ideas from their classmates. They're going to get their ideas from their school teachers. They're going to get their ideas from their counselors. And if their counselors support these deranged ideas that they can somehow magically become... I have some other clips here and some other very disturbing things, because Pride Month is coming up, and it's just a joy. And if you've listened to the show last year, it's a spectacular, amazing thing that we get to celebrate every freaking year now. Where men and women walk around naked in these parades, and then there's children around and everything's fine, and you have to submit your kids to these drag shows, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. So, and he did talk about that too, how we have a problem with pride, and it's not the pride that you're proud of your children or you're proud of your spouse or you're proud of whatever, but there's the pride that is that. So my whole thing with this speech is that in the context of who he was talking to, who he is, it was completely fine and it was completely appropriate. If the situation is where the wife is able to go off and make more and the husband stays home, that is fine also. I mean, there's just, I don't have a problem with it. And I'd like to play this other clip here from Bill Maher. I've been playing a lot of him lately. There seems to be a little bit of common sense. He hasn't lost his freaking mind like a whole bunch of other Democrats. But let's just see here.
Some of you, talking to the women here, some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world. Okay, that seems fairly modern. But I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I don't see what the big crime is. I really don't. And I think this is part of the problem people have with the left, is that lots of people in this country are like this. Like he's saying, some of you may go on to lead successful careers, but a lot of you are excited about this other way that everybody used to be. And now can't that just be a choice too? And I feel like they feel very put upon. Like there's only one way to be a good person, and that's to get an advanced degree from one of those asshole factories like Harvard.
Absolutely. So there's no problem with what I don't think there's a problem with what Harrison Butker said at all. I just don't see the problem with what he said, how he explained it, and then you also have Patrick Mahomes. Well, this is a lot of sports-ish sort of stuff. It's today, isn't it? But Patrick Mahomes also weighed in, and the Chiefs. Oh, the CEO, his wife also supports Harrison Butker and what he said. So this is a little bit of what Patrick Mahomes had to say.
I've known him for 7 years, and I judge him by the character that he shows every single day, and that's a good person. That's someone who cares about the people around him, cares about his family, and wants to make a good impact in society. When you're in the locker room, there's a lot of people from a lot of different areas of life, and they have a lot of different views on everything, and we're not always going to agree, but and there's certain things that he said that I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand the person that he is, and he's trying to do whatever he can to lead people in the right direction. And that might not be the same values as I have, but at the same time, I'm going to judge him by the character that he shows every single day. That's a great person, and we'll continue to move along and try to help build each other up to make ourselves better every single day. But at the end of the day, we're going to come together as a team, and I think that'll help out as well as eliminating those distractions outside the building as well.
So he has support from the Chiefs. He has support from his teammates. Even Bill Maher, the massive liberal that's sort of making a little bit of sense, or just the rest of the Democrats are just so far left that he's like, oh, he actually makes sense, when before maybe he wouldn't. But they support him. They're fine with him. But it was just amazing. The NFL quickly was like, no, that doesn't represent us. We want to make sure everybody's included and inclusivity, blah, blah, blah. But just interesting. Interesting, though. Great. I liked the speech. I liked what he said, especially when he talked about President Biden. And, because we're always told that Biden is a great Catholic. He's an amazing Catholic, and he stands with Catholicism. But Harrison had a little bit different view on that.
And poor leadership have negatively impacted major life issues. Our own nation is led by a man who publicly and proudly proclaims his Catholic faith, but at the same time is delusional enough to make the sign of the cross during a pro-abortion rally.
So, yeah. I think the left is a little upset with him because he called out on abortion. He called out on the pride nonsense that we have to go through every freaking month. And I laid out, I think, one of these episodes, I laid out all the days, and there's at least, seems like 100 days, 500 days, where, oh yeah, it was for Easter, the Easter episode. So go back and check that out if you have not listened to it yet. But, yeah. So, I didn't really have a problem with what he said. A lot of people did, though. A lot of people do. And, yeah. So since it's going to be June, and I probably won't get another episode in the rest of the May, just wanted to remind everybody what it is we're going to look forward to here. And the whole of the, what you want to call it, mental illness that are around with this whole thing. Because it used to just be when this whole pride thing, it used to just be about gays and lesbians being able to love who they want to love, and to marry them and want to be with them and get all the same benefits and treatments and things that a heterosexual couple would get. Which, if you want to be a switch hitter and swing that way, that's none of my business. I don't really care. That is not, no, that is not for me. No, thank you. But the only problem that I've ever had with any of this stuff is that it is constantly pushed on us. And if you don't agree with it, then you are somehow a bigot and you're somehow homophobic. But if you don't, like with Harrison Butker, if you do not completely 100% agree with everything that the left and everything that anybody of these other groups are for, if you don't 100% support them, then you're somehow evil and you're just this phobic of whatever, put in your trans, homo, bi, whatever phobic is that. And I think that's just a dumb thing. That when I went through and did medical school, certain words, there's like a prefix and a suffix, and if you have hypertension, it means it's fast. If you have hypotension, it means it's slow. Your blood, all I can think of is medical terms, but your blood pressure, there we go, that's layman's terms, is either high or low, and I totally lost my train of thought on that. Hold on. All right, we're back now. I remember now. That went off on that. But the beginning, phobia, I don't have a fear of these people. When you're homophobic, you're gay phobia. You're afraid of them? No, I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of these people. That was just the dumbest thing. I've never understood that as to why they say it's a phobia. I'm not afraid of it. It's just not my lifestyle. If it's your lifestyle and you are adults and you do not come after children, you don't have to. It's not preached in our schools. Kids aren't being subjected to drag shows in their schools or at parades, any of that stuff. That is the part that I don't have. I have a massive problem with that part of it. If you're in a bunch of adults and you're going to a gay club and there's drag in that club, whatever that is, that's not me. I will not be participating. I do have an embarrassing story though with that. So when I was younger, I was 18 years old. I used to work at the Salt Lake Airport, and a group of us, my parents had moved to Salt Lake, or to Houston at the time, right after 9/11. I was working at the airport, and a bunch of us, we used to go out to, I used to be clubbing. I used to go to the clubs. And we went to this one, I don't remember what the name of it was, but we went to this one in Salt Lake, and, there was music and dancing and things like that going on. So we went there, a bunch of us, we went there one night, and we were looking around, and we're like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem like the other nights. And so we went to one of the people that worked there, and they were like, yeah, this is drag show night. And me and one of the girls were like, yeah, we're going to leave. Bye. See you later. But I didn't sit there and be like, you can't do this. This is so wrong. What do you do? What's the matter with you? I left. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want anything to do with it. Bye. See you later. So I do not have a fear of these people. I don't understand this whole phobia. That means a fear. There's no fear. It's just not the lifestyle I agree with, and it is not the lifestyle I'm going to choose. So with that being said, this is, I believe maybe it was a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't remember when this video came out, but this is what we have to look forward to in about a week and a half or so.
I am genderqueer, transmasc, and queer.
What's transmasc?
Transmasc is like people under the non-binary umbrella identifying or presenting masc.
Masculine?
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm trans and my sexuality is unlabeled.
Unlabeled.
I use he, him pronouns.
Yeah, and I use he, they pronouns.
Fluid.
So if you were to look at those two lovely people, they look like women. And they are women. They're just massively confused and want to be part of some whatever this is.
Fluid.
Can you explain what that means to me a little bit more?
Whatever turns you on.
Pronouns.
She, her, it. I feel like, honestly, it should not be a bad thing. Like, I've talked to people who go with they and them. I'm like, well, in the grammar of things, how would you want to represent yourself? It's like, I guess it. Because it's like, you're it. You're the it. Like, it shouldn't be a bad name. It should just be owned.
Gay. Yes. Yes, I love.
Identify as he, she, her,
they. She. I guess you.
Yeah, that would be a man who's just plain gay. And the it thing? No. You're not an it. You are a male or you are a female. There's no such thing in human anatomy as an it.
You could call me gay. I'm homo-flexible, really. I do like some women, but mostly men.
I'm a male. I identify as a man. As far as sexuality is concerned, I'm kind of open. Like, if you excite me, then you excite me,
I will forever support a child who wants to do whatever they want with their... I will always be there for any children who want to pursue drag, things that they are LGBT in any sort of way. I will always support them.
Oh, that's fantastic. A child talking about children. When I was a child, I thought I was He-Man. If you don't know who He-Man is, I'm sorry, but that is one of the best cartoons shows ever. Because it was great. He-Man was the ultimate hero, and Skeletor was the ultimate bad guy. He was sort of the fool. He-Man made him a fool. Skeletor never won. He-Man always won at the end. Everything was always fine. And there was always a great message at the end of the show. Of, Orko, the magician, I don't know what the heck he is, to be honest. Orko was the floating little wizard guy with a funny red hat. But if he messed up the whole thing, there was a nice, great thing of, you should get help if you need this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Or you shouldn't do this, because if you did, then, you'll end up like Skeletor, basically, and lose. These kids, oh, this is just so frustrating. Because it is ingrained in your DNA of who you are, of your sex, of who you are. You are a male or you are a female. Another show that was on, that we watched as children, was Transformers. Human beings are not transformers. We cannot transform into something else. We can't scan it like they did the movies and the more recent 20-year-old movies with Shia LaBeouf. We can't sit there and scan a woman and then all of a sudden transform into a freaking woman just because we think we're a woman. That was the whole thing with Riley Gaines. She was the collegiate swimmer that swam with Leah Thomas, who as a male was ranked 662nd or something like that. And there was a thing that I watched recently where Riley Gaines was telling a story again of how that happened. And there was a woman from Hungary who wanted to be an all-American athlete and was, she came, they took the top 15 to move on to the next round. And this woman was ranked 16th and missed the cut because Leah Thomas was there. A male took away. I mean, where are the feminists with this stuff? And the Biden administration right now is trying to change that so that trans are included in women's sports. So these males are included in women's sports. I thought that's the whole point of Title IX in the first place, was to ensure that women were able to compete in sports at the collegiate level, right? If an NBA player were to play in the WNBA, he would be scoring 60, 70, 80 points a game. Men are bigger, men are stronger, men are faster. That's just our genetic makeup. That's how we are. Now, I'm not saying all men. I mean, there are some women that are faster than men. But you don't have Usain Bolt, who at the time was the fastest man. He's not competing at the women's. The women aren't competing against him. Serena or Venus, it was either Venus or Serena, was asked if she were going to play the men, and she was like, no. He would crush. I forget what the tennis, because I wasn't into tennis. I forget the name, who it was. It was somebody big back when she was still playing, and she was like, no, he would crush me. The men hit faster, they hit stronger, and that's just how our bodies are made up. You can't change. We're not Transformers. You can't change. So you have, I ran into this. I'm an Inside Edition where, well, let's just have you listen, and there's tons of mental problems with both of these people. So here we go.
From mother
And son.
to father.
And daughter.
That's right. This father and daughter used to be mother and son. 15-year-old Corey Mason, who loves mascara and lip gloss, was actually born a boy.
I always wanted to be a girl. I would always, go like this, like this. I was always girly.
Corey started taking puberty blockers at age 11 to stop facial hair growth and deepening of the voice.
Just seeing her courage and her bravery in the face of so much adversity, I think that's ultimately what gave me the courage to come out myself.
So, first of all, where the heck was the actual father in all this? Apparently, it was just a single mother and her son, who clearly has massive mental problems, and then brought up her son to think that way and but teaching kids about God and about Jesus and how we can be saved from our sins, that's the problem in the world. That's the stuff that we need to make sure there's a separation of church and state. But let's give our kids puberty blockers to mess up their bodies completely. And so that's coming up next month. So that's exciting. That's awesome, isn't it? That's just fantastic. It's beautiful. I tell you, man, it's just so insane. It's just the level of absolute stupidity, mental illness, and it's just celebrated. We are celebrating all this as just fine and dandy and normal. Okay, that's what we're doing today. But in other news, I wanted to play this. Well, maybe I'll do that later. I wanted to go through and talk about this. Biden went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. It's an all-black school. And Joe being Joe, well, let's just have you listen.
You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered. And there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you.
Not a democracy, Joe.
What is democracy?
Not America.
If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? Betrayal of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy?
By your party.
You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. And most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
Oh, like 10 people are clapping. Oh, he went to a black college, and George Floyd was murdered. No, that's not what happened. And when the video footage of that first came out, obviously everybody was appalled. Everybody was like, what the crap is going on here? Why did this happen? And I don't understand why it took them forever to release the body cam footage, because that was told the story completely differently with that. Where he was committing another felony, using fake money, and wouldn't listen to the officers because of the drugs that he was on. They got him into the car, and he fought his way out of the car. And the officer that sort of, they claim that sat or kneeled on his neck, that was a tactic that was taught and used to subdue people. And they were doing that so that he wouldn't get hit in the traffic that was going by. And then he just... So there were many, and more at the college there, that turned their back on Biden. There's so many clips where they just turned their back on him. And wouldn't listen to him. Because I just don't understand. I don't understand why the black community is so supportive of Democrats. I don't understand it. They don't do anything. Black Lives Matter didn't do anything for anybody but make them, the founders, richer so they could go buy mansions and use it for drugs and hookers and all kinds of other things. But it didn't help. 2020, all the millions that were raised didn't do a thing for the black community anywhere. And then you have the lovely Kamala Harris, the brilliant scholar that she is. Here's her words.
I think we all know this election is as much as anything about each of us deciding what kind of country we want to live in. Really,
that's for damn sure.
It's about deciding whether we want to live in a country that prioritizes and values decency, democracy.
We're not a democracy.
Freedom, liberty, rule of law, or not.
Oh my gosh. Rule of law in Democrat-run cities, there are no laws. It is a free-for-all. It's like the Wild West in all of these cities and states. They're brilliant, though, aren't they? They're magnificent and brilliant people. And another great thing, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the show, and I apologize. It's just an absolute. Sorry, I'm shedding a tear. But the butcher of Tehran, also known as the president of Iran, he died tragically. Him and a bunch of his people, they died in a helicopter crash. It's just sad. Tear. I watched a clip from Ben Shapiro, and he was like, I feel bad for the helicopter. But, so, the Biden administration, being the wonderful, inclusive administration that it is, they did this for a guy that butchered his own people, raped his own people, and did, just all kinds of horrible, awful things. Launched 350 missiles, rockets, and drones directed at Israel to destroy them. This is what the Biden administration did. This is I love it how he's at Anthony Blinken, the honorable. There's nothing honorable about this administration at all. Anybody in it. But the honorable Anthony Blinken, he was before Congress or some senators, either congressmen or senators, at a hearing, and this is what happened.
Yesterday, the State Department issued a statement mourning the death of the Iranian president. Now, I assume as Secretary, you share that sentiment?
We expressed official condolences, as we've done when countries, adversaries, enemies, or not, have lost leaders. It changes nothing about the fact that Mr. Raisi was engaged in reprehensible conduct, including repressing his own people for many years as a judge. And that as president, it changes not a whit about our policy, but it's something that we've done many times in the past, going back many administrations and many decades, and we do as a normal course of business.
Well, I don't think it should be a normal course of business. I think it's shocking that this administration would mourn the death of the butcher of Tehran. I don't. He's responsible for death, rape, torture, a sworn enemy of the free world. So I think it's a terrible mistake, Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Secretary, is the world better today now that Raisi is dead?
Absolutely.
Given the horrible acts that he engaged in, both as a judge and as president, to the extent he can no longer engage in them, yes, the Iranian people are probably better off.
You didn't say that in your statement, did you?
I believe that we did. And certainly our spokesperson...
Today, the United Nations is flying their flag at half-staff to mourn the death.
Gosh!
Would you agree that it is utterly disgraceful for the United Nations to be mourning the death of the butcher of Tehran?
We're certainly not mourning his death. As I said, we expressed...
Would you agree it's disgraceful for the UN to be?
I'll look at what they've done. We certainly would not do that.
Oh my gosh, I didn't remember hearing that part about the UN. How about they get off our shore and they can go to whatever freaking country, somewhere else. Just leave. Go to China. Go somewhere else. Bye. See you later. Get off our shores. Freaking scumbags. Unbelievable. Their flag was at half-staff for this piece of garbage. But yeah, so they, had a moment of silence for this complete evil person. The president of Iran died. Just absolutely tragic. And then Trump recently was in Minnesota. I believe I've heard rumors he's coming to Dallas. I think it'd be kind of fun to see him. That'd be great. There'll be tens of thousands of people there, just like there were in New Jersey. That was last week. I think I talked about that. There was 80 to 100,000 people in Blue State, New Jersey. And then anytime there's a Biden rally, use that word loosely, there's like tens of people, not tens of thousands. But this is just a funny little thing that Trump had when he was in Minnesota.
Americans are not struggling. This is the worst platform. Who put this stage up here? This is the worst. The freaking place is falling down. I notice it keeps tilting further left. Like too many other things.
There is just a massive world of difference between him and Biden. Everybody says, oh, well, they're only 4 years apart, but they're like 400 years apart cognitively, because here's what Biden had to say, I believe this week.
Vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic. And what happened was, Barack said to me, go to Detroit and help fix it. Well, poor mayor, he spent more time with me than he ever thought he was going to have to. God love you.
So, there's Joe. So, apparently, I thought it was Mike Pence that was the vice president during the pandemic in 2020. But apparently it was Joe Biden who was vice president during the pandemic, and Barack sent him to Detroit to fix it? Well, you didn't do a very good job there, Joe, because Detroit isn't fixed. In fact, since Democrats have been running it for the last, 80 years, it looks like garbage, and it used to be a great, beautiful city, just like every other city in the country that is not run by Democrats. It used to be a great city. San Francisco used to be a great city. New York, Chicago, L.A. all used to be great, beautiful, wonderful cities until they weren't, and Democrats were voted in and common sense was voted out. But just a massive difference there. He's joking around, speaking of Trump, he's joking around that the little podium that he's at wasn't put together very well, and it's falling apart, and he's just having a good laugh with it. And then you have Joe Biden, who thinks he was the vice president during the pandemic. During the pandemic. Yes, that is Joe Biden there. And then I have one more thing. Let me get this pulled up here. Because this is about Trump here. A couple things here. He's still in Minnesota, but I want to play a couple more things. So they're fun and they're hilarious and just shows the massive difference between the two of them.
I don't know if you can see it out there. Does anybody have good eyes out there? Because this is, okay, so I just got this today. Somebody handed it to me. It's weird, not as a joke. I said, anybody have any Tic Tacs? And the guy said, yeah, I have one. Look at the size of that sucker. Could you? Can you see that, Pete?
So
this is called Biden Tic Tacs.
it's like a quarter size of what a normal Tic Tac thing
Can you
is.
see it, Tom? This costs more money than the one that was like 10 times bigger. This is inflation. That's a perfect. The guy actually handed me. Do you have any Tic Tacs? Yeah, here, take mine, sir. I said, what the hell is that? I'm never going to lose this. This is going to be a part of our. You know, he's all about disinformation. Pilots come in, he said, I used to fly a plane. Truckers come in, I used to drive a truck. People come in from Minnesota, I used to live in Minnesota. Right? He is so full of shit, this guy. Terrible. Terrible.
So, just the massive, massive difference between doofus face Biden here and Donald Trump. I mean, just great. Because it is so true that no matter what it is that Biden, he's done it all. He's done everything. Like he said he was a trucker. He said he used to work at a logging company in Idaho. He grew up in every possible school. Jewish, black. He grew up with the Puerto Ricans. He grew up with the Irish. He grew up with the what's the other one? Greeks. He grew up with the Italians. He grew up with the if whatever you are, he grew up with you. So, and then you've got, I'm trying to find this other clip here really quick here. It's just so stupid. This guy is just absolutely, it's just a world of difference between the two of them. All right, I got this one last clip here, and just to show you the massive difference in the two of them. So this is Biden. He's it's a little couple little montage together. He's reading off the teleprompter.
My theology professor at the Catholic school I went to was a guy named Riley, last name. And he had been drafted by the Green Bay Packers.
Last name.
4 more years. Pause. 4 more years.
Oh, I want to, long pause. So sorry. You're not supposed to say long pause. I thought that was your character's name, you know?
Joey from Friends. There you go. One more time.
Theology professor at the Catholic school I went to was a guy named Riley, last name. And he had been drafted by the Green Bay Packers. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years.
Oh, I want to, long pause.
Anyway, so notice the difference between the two of them. One is cognitively there. He's 77, 76, Trump, and then you've got Biden, who's 512, who says, Riley last name. He's so energetic. 4 more years, pause. Oh my gosh. Oh, nobody likes you, Joe. Just go away to Delaware, go to your beach, and live there forever. Well, until you don't. I don't have time for this today, but there is an article that came out that I wanted to get to today, but I just don't have enough time today. Where the FBI, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, had orders directly from the DOJ and the Biden administration to use deadly force if necessary during that raid. So I'll go into that article next week. So hopefully you have a great week. Have a great weekend. Memorial Day is Monday, so have a great Memorial Day. And remember those that have done everything that they can, including giving their lives for this great nation. So to the families that have lost family members in defense of this country, I thank you. I thank you very much. Your sacrifice and the sacrifices of those of your family are appreciated, and we will not forget. So thank you to those that have done that. Thank you to your family members for giving us your precious sons and your precious daughters so that we can continue to be a nation. And hopefully you have a great weekend, and I will talk with you next week. Bye-bye.